The last king has died. Long live the king. It's in the heart of Brazil, in the small town of Três. On October 23, 1940, a boy was born who would one day become known as the king of football. His name was Edson Arantes do Nascimento, though the world would come to know him simply as his father. Dondinho had once been a promising footballer himself, but his career was cut short by injury. His mother, Celeste, worked tirelessly to keep the family afloat. Life was hard, and poverty was their constant companion. The boy Edson did not grow up with real footballs or expensive boots. Instead, he and his friends would gather on dusty streets and kick around anything they could find. Socks stuffed with rags, grapefruits, or rolled up newspapers tied together. Football was not just a game for them, it was an escape, a dream, a way to imagine a better life. In those humble beginnings, the fire of greatness was lit. His father, despite the disappointments of his own career, taught his son the basics of the game. He showed him how to pass, how to shoot, how to protect the ball. More importantly, he taught him humility and discipline. Dondinho told his son that talent would open doors, but character would keep them open. Those lessons sank deep into S. young heart. As a child, worked small jobs to help his family. He shined shoes on the streets, carrying his small kit with brushes and polish, trying to earn a few coins. Customers would look at him and see just another poor boy, but S. eyes always drifted toward the fields where older boys played football. He dreamed of joining them, of proving himself, of rising above his station. When he was just 11, his father sent him to live with a different family in Peru so that he could focus on football. Though separated physically, never forgot his roots. At 13, he moved to São Paulo to join the prestigious club Santos. However, soon after arriving, he found himself back in Três. The football world might have seemed too big for it at this point, but the flame inside him refused to be extinguished. During this period, didn't have proper footwear, but this didn't stop him from practicing. In fact, it only fueled his determination. By the time he was a teenager, his talent was already undeniable. Local coaches noticed his speed, his balance, and his incredible touch. At just 15, he joined Santos, a modest Brazilian club that will become the stage of his destiny. The year was 1956, and the future looked bright, but also uncertain. Arrived at the club and trained with the older players. Some of them looked at him with curiosity. He was small, skinny, and shy, but when the ball touched his feet, even veterans stopped to watch. He had a gift that could not be taught. Made his debut for Santos at the age of 16 and quickly established himself as a rising star. He scored goals with a mixture of power and elegance, weaving through defenders with ease, finishing with both feet, and heading with surprising strength despite his size. His performances attracted attention beyond Brazil. Newspapers began to whisper of a prodigy who might become the best the game had ever seen. On November 29, 1956, scored 8 goals in a single game for Santos against the team Corinthians. This remarkable feat didn't go unnoticed. Soon, scouts from some of the most prestigious clubs in Brazil were standing outside the stadium, hoping to get a glimpse of the young sensation. By the time he was 17, he had already become one of the most sought-after players in Brazil. Teams wanted him, but Santos held on tight, recognizing the treasure they had in their hands. 2 years later, however, the world stage beckoned. The 1958 FIFA World Cup in Sweden was approaching, and Brazil was determined to make a strong showing. Coach Vicente Fiala selected for the national team. When the news broke, fans went wild. They knew that they were witnessing the birth of a legend. In Sweden, dazzled the world. In a quarterfinal against Wales, he scored the only goal, becoming the youngest player to score in a World Cup match. In the semifinal against France, he delivered a hat-trick, stunning the world with his composure. And in the final against host Sweden, with millions watching, He scored twice, including a goal where he flicked the ball over a defender's head and volleyed it into the net. Brazil won 5-2, and the star was born. At just 17 years old, had conquered the world. The Swedish fans, who had seen their team defeated, rose to applaud him as he left the field, in tears of joy. From that moment on, the name was known everywhere, in cities and villages, from South America to Europe, from Africa to Asia. He was not just a footballer, it's a symbol of hope for millions of poor children who saw themselves in his story. Success did not fade after that World Cup. He returned to Santos and turned the club into a powerhouse. With him, Santos won Copa Libertadores titles and Intercontinental Cups, defeating great European teams like Benfica and AC Milan. Crowds packed stadiums wherever Santos traveled, eager to see the boy king. He became a global attraction, touring the world and spreading the beauty of Brazilian football. In 1962, Brazil returned to the World Cup in Chile as defending champions, scored a brilliant goal in the opening game, but was injured in the second match. Many feared Brazil's chances were gone, but Garrincha, his teammate, carried the team to victory. Still, lifted his second World Cup medal, becoming the youngest player to do so. The 1966 World Cup in England brought disappointment. Was kicked and fouled relentlessly by opponents, particularly in the match against Portugal, where defenders targeted him mercilessly. Injured and frustrated, he vowed never to play in another World Cup. Yet fate had other plans. In Ixotiling in Mexico, returned for one final act on the grandest stage. Now 29, he was more experienced, wiser, and ready to lead. Brazil's 1970 team, often called the greatest in history, was filled with stars. Garzinho, Rivellino, Tosto, Carlos Alberto, but was the heart. In the final against Italy, he rose above defenders to head the opening goal, set up two more, and orchestrated the famous team goal, finished by Carlos Alberto. Brazil won Set.E and lifted his third World Cup. No one has matched that feat. That moment sealed his immortality. A T was no longer just. T was Ore, the king. He had given Brazil joy, pride, and identity on the world stage. His smile, his humility, and his magic with the ball transcended borders. After E10 Jobatisha continued with Santos before moving to the United States to play for the New York Cosmos. Many questioned his decision, but saw an opportunity to bring football to a country where the sport was little known. Today, we pay homage to the king who has left us, but whose spirit will forever live on in the beautiful game. Rest in peace. We will miss you. Keep for watching and see you in the next video.